Jay's Fit Down Football Podcast. I am your host, Jay and Gay, and today on the show we're going to be recapping Week 8 of the NFL season. Y'all, it's still going by so fast. We're already coming up into Week 9 this week. So happy Halloween to everybody out there. Today is Halloween, so it's a very cold Halloween Tuesday here in Atlanta. I'm sure it is wherever you guys are as well. But yeah, so it's Halloween. Trade deadline is today at 4 o'clock p.m. So we'll be talking a little bit about that as well as some college football takes of mine. But before we get into all that, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Check us out here on YouTube. We're also on audio platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you can find your favorite podcast is where we are. So make sure you check us out. Give us a follow there. Drop a like on this video. Hit that subscribe button. Become part of the J's Fit Down family because you're going to want to join if to know everything about football, NFL, college, whatever. So make sure you do that. And if you guys haven't already, I would love to support. If you could please support and purchase my book that I wrote called The Soldier. It's available for purchase on Amazon. You can get it there now. It's up. I'll provide a link in the description below to that. So let's get started. So yeah, Week 8 is in the books. Pretty interesting weekend across the league. Pretty much those games that happened were expected, right? Like for example, I'll start off with the games that really impressed me the most, though. The Lions and the Raiders game. I knew the Lions were going to win this game because the Raiders are just a crap show of a franchise. But it's the way they did it. Like Jahmyr Gibbs had a crazy game. Like he rushed for over 150 yards, a touchdown. He was playing really well. Jared Goff had a solid game through the air, 272 passing yards, a touchdown, a pick. Very solid. Sam Laporta had a receiving touchdown for them. He's turned into one of the better young players in the league, having a great rookie season. I'm very impressed by him from what I've seen. Um, you know, so yeah, I mean, after they trade T.J. Hockenson to the Vikings, to pick him up in the draft was a very smart move. It's like they got a guy that, I mean, I see kind of some shades of T.J. in his game, maybe a little bit better right now. The Lions aren't really losing anything as far as that was concerned about trading Hockenson to Minnesota. But yeah, this game was pretty good. I mean, Monday Night Football game. You know, the Raiders just could not get anything going really. Davante Adams struggled. He didn't get the ball. Rather, I should say he didn't get the ball as much as he should have. And he was very visibly frustrated with that. You can see videos on Instagram. I think Bleacher Report posted it or whatever. I'm sure you could find it on YouTube too. But he was very frustrated. He's like, man, this is freaking BS. It's just I'm tired of this crap. I'm tired of losing and all this stuff. And I understand. It gets sickening, especially you're an All Pro player, one of the best receivers in the league, a future Hall of Famer. You come there to Vegas to play with Derek Carr. They let him walk. They don't attempt to bring him back. And they get Jimmy Garoppolo, but it's like Jimmy really isn't playing to good standards right now. And the Raiders just as a whole just aren't playing well. Offensive decisions are very questionable. The play calling is not good. Overall just coaching decisions are not really good. I don't like what I see from the Raiders this year. I mean, heck, but what year have I ever really liked what I saw from the Raiders? Um, what year has anybody liked what they saw from the Raiders? Probably have to go way back before that. But yeah, he was very frustrated, and now it's like the trade deadline. The trade deadline is today, so the question is, do they shop Adams? Do they trade him by 4 o'clock? If it's me, it's like I would. It's best for both parties because they're not going to give him the ball, obviously, as much as he needs to get it. And Devontae Adams can go to a situation where it just might be a better, fit. He can get he'll get the ball as much as he's supposed to. The quarterback will be better, right? So it's just a matter of those things, personnel wise, coaching decisions that matters too. Play calling, all that stuff is intertwined. That matters, And the Raiders to me just they're just broken. They're a broken franchise. They don't have any type of foundation, any type of grounding in that organization. It's just all over the place. It's haywire, and that's why you have the issues that you do. You bring in Josh McDaniels, and he hasn't really done much as a head coach. So now the question is, what do you do there on that front? I don't think McDaniels is going to last much longer in Vegas if they can't do something to fix what's going on. Yeah, I tell you what, it'll start by trading Adams. It'll look really good on his part if he does trade Davante, because it'll show his maturity and growth as a coach to understand it's like, hey, when a player isn't happy, and the player is not, you're not giving them what they should. Either you have two choices. You either, treat them, how they should be. You either give them the ball as much as they should be getting it, or you trade them. You do them a right and you trade them away. You do yourself a right, and I guess since you don't have to deal with that, right? Deal with doing that. Then you trade them. You get some good in something in return for them. Get some picks, some players or whatever. Uh, that's just the point the Raiders are at right now. On the flip side, Detroit continues to get back in the win column, and they're looking a little bit better too. So they're improving. I mean, this is the best we've seen the Lions play in years, and it's very. I'm all for it. I love that. I like I'm a big fan of Dan Campbell and the way the Lions run their team. They're physical. They fight. They play hard. They compete every play. That's how football teams should be ran. That's how football teams should operate. And they do a great job of that. Jared Goff is a solid QB. I kind of hated on him some in the past, but he has proven me wrong. He's doing what he was asked of him. He's doing what's required of him to do. He's being a solid starting quarterback in the league, and his numbers are, statistically impressive. So looking at it from that aspect, yeah. I mean, and another game that interested me was the Lions, the 49ers and the Bengals. 49ers lost their third straight game, just not good at all. Purdy turned the ball over a lot. Team just wasn't playing that well this week, or on Sunday, and it just didn't look that good. The Bengals on the other side though, were they played really well. Joe Burrow had a good game. Jamar Chase had a touchdown, right? So just overall balanced good game from the Bengals. Defensively, they forced turnovers, like I said, and kind of limited San Francisco as to what they normally would be doing. So George Kittle did have a good game, though. So that's a bright spot for 49ers, but San Francisco has lost 3 straight games, and that's not good. And the Bengals, interestingly enough, have beaten all NFC West teams this year. They beat the Seahawks, they beat the Cardinals, they beat the Rams, and they've now beaten the 49ers. So now it's like a complete sweep of the NFC West. I thought that was very interesting. I think that's the first time that's ever been done, or at least in a long time that it has ever been done. So it's very impressive, man, by the Bengals. And I knew they would figure it out in a matter of time, right? It's always going to take, especially when you have a quarterback like Joe Burrow, and he has that leg injury early on in the year, and it kind of that hinders you in the offense, So you expected a slow start. But they last couple weeks they've been playing a lot better. So I expect that to continue throughout the rest of the year, and I expect them to be back in the playoffs like they usually are. So that's what I expect from Cincinnati in that aspect. And then my third big game of the afternoon on Sunday was the Broncos and the Chiefs. Now, this was a game, like you can say a lot of things about why the Broncos won this game. They beat the Chiefs 24-9. Yes, they beat the Chiefs 24-9. The Chiefs did not score a single touchdown. Now, Patrick Mahomes had the flu apparently, but he still played a solid game as far as passing wise. But it just wasn't. They just couldn't score. So maybe it wasn't that solid. I guess it depends on your perspective of what solid is. But they couldn't score. The defense played well for Denver. And the Broncos they were able to go down the field and score in the red zone, score touchdowns. Russell Wilson had like 3 passing touchdowns, one to Courtland Sutton. One of those being the Courtland Sutton, like I mentioned. So yeah, Denver, and with the trade deadline coming up, Sean Payton said he does not expect the team to be shopping anybody at the deadline or trying to buy from other teams. He said, we're not doing that. He's saying we are content with what we have. He likes what they're going on with in Denver, and the way they're playing. They're 3-5 right now, so technically speaking, looking at it in that form, playoffs is not out of the question for the Broncos. So if they can put more games like this together defensively, then you start to wonder. It's like, hey, the team is starting to get some mojo now. They're starting to get a little bit of pep in their step. The vibe seems to be different, and it's always hard, right, when a new head coach comes into a team, even if they have a good background like Sean Payton, or a bad background like Nathaniel Hackett, or the background is like not is experienced, or just whatever the case might be. it's gonna be hard for the team because you're doing new play calls, new signals, new philosophies, things like that. Uh, New expectations. It's gonna be different, So as a player, that's hard, and making that adjustment. So the team, you had to expect they were going to struggle a little bit coming out the gate, and that's what they've done. Heck, they gave up 70 points to Miami a couple weeks ago, but they're bouncing back, and that's what you want to see if you're a head coach, if you're the Broncos front office, the resilience in his team. Can they be resilient? Can they fight back? Right. So that's the big thing for me. Those are three games that impressed me there for the NFL. And then moving into the trade deadline, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, from what I'm hearing, now we've already had a couple of trades happen. Like for example, Katavius Street was traded from the Eagles to the Falcons. Falcons just lost Grady Jarrett to torn ACL. Man, such a bummer because he's a phenomenal player. And so, yeah, this was expected. They get some DL help with Katavius Street. Solid defensive lineman coming from Philly. First, they trade him for some draft picks. Uh, I mean, other than that, not many deals have already happened. I expect some more to happen. I mean, I can say this: Derrick Henry will not be traded. Saquon Barkley will most likely not be traded. Those two guys are expected to stay with their respective teams. Because they just aren't gonna get traded. Uh, Now, on the other hand, Jalen Johnson, the cornerback from the Bears, he requested a trade, especially after that big loss to the Chargers on Sunday night. They lost 30-13, I believe. So Tyson Badgett starting in again for Justin Fields, and they can get the win there. But yeah, Jalen Johnson requested a trade publicly, so I expect him to be moved. Possibly a team like Indianapolis could make a move for him. That's a possibility. It's a team I'm hearing. Maybe Philly. They need some corner help, right? So, a number of different options there you could look at for Johnson. But it's going to be a very interesting deadline for sure. Like I said, just it's at 4 o'clock. It's the cutoff point for all trades. So, if teams want to make a move, they have to do it between, of course, like I say, this now and 4 o'clock. But yeah, great weekend in the league, and then of course to kick off things on, we got Thursday night football to kick off that week 9, and yeah, college football wise though, shifting gears. Interesting weekend. Georgia, of course, getting their win over Florida. They're continuing to roll through the SEC and just continue to look really good as a college football team. Michigan beating Michigan State 49-0. You know, I can say this right now. I honestly do not know who will be in the college football playoffs other than Georgia. Like I know, but I don't know. Like it's one of those things where I can't tell you who is going to be the top 4 teams. I really don't know, other than Georgia. Because right now the way these things are looking, I mean, these things shape up. And you know what college football is? You get one bad loss or this or that, whatever, like it can completely change up the standings and everything for your team. It can change up your positioning in that playoff rankings or whatever. So, yeah, I can say this though: USC definitely will not make the playoffs because they have no defense. You give up 40 something points. I mean, that's Lincoln Riley. As great as an offensive mind as he is, and he is a great offensive mind. Dang man, they can't stop anybody. And that's a problem. Like if your team has no defense, you're not going to win a lot of football games. If you're relying on your offense to win every game for you. Now, if you play bad teams, yeah, you have a chance to win some games. But when you start playing your real competitive schedule, you can't just keep hoping your offense is going to bail you out. Like your defense has to show up. They have to make plays. They have to make stops. They have to stop people. And if they can't do that, then you're not going to win, and you for sure won't win in the playoff. So that's something else to look at there. FSU though, I mean, man, the Noles are just they're playing really well this year, and they got to finish the year out strong if they want to make a case for the playoffs. But I think they can. Jordan Travis is playing Heisman like football this year. I really think it's going to go between either Michael Penix of Washington, or to Jordan Travis of FSU if he continues to have the great season he is having. Offensive line though isn't playing as well for Florida State, so that's something they got to continue to work on. But other than that, it's a great season for them. So that's what I'm interested in. I'm looking forward to the Alabama and LSU game this week. Big SEC West matchup. That's going to be huge for both teams. Alabama, ninth ranked in the country. LSU, they are the LSU Tigers. Always got to find my rankings here. Just give me a second, guys. I know it's a little inconvenient here. But yeah, I mean, so yeah, LSU. Give me one second, guys. Sorry, I'm usually more prepared than this, but college football is a little bit different. The NFL, like NFL, I can spit off the back of my head. So the point is, LSU and Alabama. This is a huge game for both of these teams. They got to win. Like LSU is 13th ranked. Alabama is ranked number 8. Um, so Alabama needs a good dominating win over LSU, which they won't dominate them because the Tigers can score points. But Jane Daniels is looking to become the first quarterback to beat Nick Saban in back-to-back years. That has not been done since he was the head coach at Michigan State, which was a very long time ago. That's just one of those things where it's like, dude, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do, man? So yeah, I'm interested to see how this weekend shapes up in both the college and the NFL. Like I said, it's getting to that time of year where you gotta lock in and get to build your strong case for the playoffs. College football more particularly there, and the NFL too. So yeah, that's something else, man, to think about there. But thank you guys for tuning into the show here on Jason Down. Like I said, I'll keep you guys updated as far as the trade deadline is concerned. Follow me on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, just to stay updated with all the trades and everything that are going on. There will be a lot of trades going on today because the deadline is at 4 o'clock this afternoon. So make sure you guys are looking out for that. And happy Halloween. Stay safe. We'll see you next time on the